I will call the meeting to order. I would like to call the January 21st, 2026 Longmont Sustainability Advisory Board meeting to order. Can we please start with the roll call?
Yes, Robert Davidson.
Here.
Daniel Leonard.
Here.
Orkut Oneron.
Here.
Jeff Garrick is not able to join us today. Ethan Augreen.
Here.
Alex Solomeo.
Here.
And Alyssa also is not able to join us. Lisa Knobloch here. Susan Bartlett here. Heather McIntyre is here. And Council Member Culpepper here.
All right. Excellent. I'm going to read our land acknowledgement statement. We acknowledge that Longmont sits on the traditional territory of the Cheyenne, Arapaho, Ute, and other indigenous peoples. We honor the history and the living spiritual connection that the First Peoples have with this land. It's our commitment to face the injustices that happened when the land was taken and to educate our communities, ourselves, and our children to ensure that these injustices do not happen again. Our inclusion statement is that the Longmont Sustainability Advisory Board embraces diverse perspectives from its members and the public to create an inclusive space where everyone feels welcome to share their opinion. The board asks that all attendees listen and speak with respect and avoid attacks on individuals or specific group identities. All right. Did I miss the agenda revisions, or should I bump that up?
I think it's
because
later,
it's actually
but
not
let's
until
move it
after.
back.
Okay. We were going to propose, before we get started with the review of the duties and responsibilities, that we would hand it over to our new council representative, first and foremost, to do an introduction for him and for us. So I guess I will. Is there any opposition to that proposal, since we're not actually at the agenda revisions?
I mean, I just introduced, no.
All right. Councilmember Kalkofar, if you have to tell me if I'm pronouncing your name.
Yes,
right.
Kalkoffer.
Okay.
Alex, please. So yeah, thanks for having me on this board. I'm really excited. There's two boards that I was really passionate about: transportation and sustainability. At the time, City Council chose me to be on transportation. So this has always been a board that I've been interested in and followed. So really excited to be the liaison for City Council. I just started. This is my second week, so to speak. So kind of jumping in to a moving treadmill. So trying to catch up as quickly as I can. I'm on other boards, so I'm on BORA, which is Longmont Urban Renewal. I'm on NADA, which is Northern Alliance Transportation, and then I'm also on, Longmont Housing Authority, and then I'm also on LDDA, which is Longmont Downtown Development Authority, and I'm also on Visit Longmont. So there's a lot of kind of overlap with the Sustainability Board with some of these other boards, so I'm really excited to be here. I do want a very quick question, and it's kind of unfair because I prepped what I was going to say, but very quickly in a sentence or two, I'm just kind of curious what sustainability means to you all. So I don't know which way we want to start, but
yeah, I'll have an unprepared statement here. To me, it's all about.
Maybe introduce yourself.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Robert Davidson. I've worked in the energy efficiency and sustainability space for a couple decades, and for me, it's about acknowledging that we don't have an infinite amount of everything. We have to make some difficult choices about how to make use of the limited precious resources that we have. That requires difficult trade-offs. It requires, making choices that are sometimes really challenging, and that, acknowledging all of the ways that the different pieces fit together in the complex puzzle is really important to ensure that we can set up the world that we want for ourselves and for future generations. And I'll stop there.
Yeah, I'm Daniel Leonard, and I work with the University of Colorado, and I specifically in their research division. And so I help researchers, including the climate and energy space, to build startups with things they invent all over the university. And sustainability for me, I think it's the big economic question of scarcity. I think in a holistic worldview of that. For hundreds of years, people built all of this for me to live a happy, fulfilled life, and it's my responsibility to make sure the next 100 to 200 years of people who come after me can live happy, fulfilled lives as well. And that's not what we're doing right now. So correcting course, economic from financial to business structures, but also environmental resource use, and I just love our natural outdoors too, and it has a right to exist as much as we do. Thanks.
Korkut Onaran. I'm an architect, urban planner. I also teach as an adjunct at the University of Colorado. I have my own practice. We do site planning, help municipalities to write their zoning codes. Sustainability, ditto, but I'd like to add, to be able to have the same opportunities for the coming generations that we have and same resources that we have, and not exploit them and consume the finite resources so that coming generations don't have it. That's not sustainable. And that includes financial opportunities as well as the available resources around us.
Ethan Law Green, for me, sustainability is primarily about regenerative solutions, things like planting trees and practicing regenerative agriculture and not polluting the air and water and land. And yeah, that's mainly it.
Alex Alameo. Sustainability for me would be, I guess, keep it in like a poetic way of like remembering to live the story.
Nice. And for me, sustainability means leaving behind our city better than we found it, just making sure that future generations have the ability, but also environmentally, but also economically, to make sure that we're sustainable in our future, to make sure that everybody has opportunities for more, not less. But at the same time, we need to make sure that we're staying, resilient to things that are coming our way, to make sure that we're protecting our community. I want to also make sure that we're not leaving anybody behind, because a lot of times sustainability can drive up costs and leave a lot of people behind. So for me, I want to make sure that when I'm making choices, I'm including everybody to make sure that we can all do this together. Sometimes we put a lot of burden on folks who can't kind of participate with us, so making sure that we all benefit and we are doing it in a way that we can all do it together. And then for liaison, a lot of the things that I just said that are my statements. On some capacities I will be speaking in regards to council. Some of the things that's coming up, we're having a retreat soon, so we're going to have more priorities and more clarity about what this council wants to do. Some of the things that I brought up is making sure that with the less water that we have, if we have a fire danger, that we're prepared for making sure that we're safe in our community, making sure that we're resilient to a changing kind of dynamic. So one of the things that I'll be pushing for is making sure that we're prepared for any kind of natural disaster, so we're not caught off guard, and making sure that we have a plan. And then once we're, so this meeting I'm not going to participate because this is your all's board, so I want you all to have the freedom to do what you want. We will provide some direction, but this meeting I'll be listening more than talking because I'm very new to the dais and I don't have too much to kind of report back. So, really excited to be here.
Thanks for being
All right, our first item of business beyond that is our annual review of duties and responsibilities. So we will go through a review of the board rules and regulations. If there are changes, Heather has it pulled up. She also has the Word document on her computer, so we can make real-time changes. Any changes will need to be done by a vote to approve those changes. Do you want to share Alyssa's comments?
Did anybody get an opportunity to read those? Do you want to address them, Robert? Or?
volunteer.
I thought we were just doing an informal poll.
We don't need that information.
Yeah, I mean, I think her comments were more concerned about making sure the attendance policies weren't too exclusive for people who had conflicts to manage, and then encouraging some diverse representation make sure that some of the strategies that we implemented with our approach for the interviewing process with future board members were kind of reflected in the way that we maybe characterize what we're trying to do. So, I
This
think
is what Alyssa's notes, is that what you're reading?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have other comments?
No, I was going to say,
Okay.
for me personally, yeah, this is my first time reading them, and we've made changes small over the years. I didn't see anything that really jumped out to me as a challenge. In response to Alyssa's point about the attendance, I think the way the language is written is that if someone is unable to attend some certain amount of times in the course of the year, the board has the option to recommend to city council that they be removed, but they're not required to do that. I think it gives us the space to consider the circumstances that are there reasonably. And the reality is that there's lots of ways for the members of our community to support the city in their sustainability ambitions. And the city deserves an engaged board. If whatever reasons you can't make, whether it's your fault or unfortunate circumstances, I think there's enough people who are willing to step up and help ensure the city can be well represented and have one power board. That we should keep that provision in place the way that it is.
Could you scroll to it?
Sure.
And the number of members on the board is set by city council, correct?
Yes.
No, set by-
So the removal of the board is one of the ones that she was specifically looking at.
I don't feel like that's particularly onerous, especially I like the inclusion of the word unexcused. Because with Alyssa's feedback, I'm not sure she's describing situations of being unexcused. Yeah, the thing that was on my mind was that was the one comment Melissa that I didn't make it through, so I thought about it on the drive over. I asked him a question about the numbers because I'm wondering if it would lessen the impact of not being present at the meeting if there were more members of the board. If you could still have a robust discussion, you could still have a lot of diverse representation from more members, and then it would be a little less onerous for a member to not necessarily attend for whatever reason.
And then I'll jump in really quick because this is something that City Council is about to talk about on Tuesday. So arts and public places will be going down. So we're trying to get every board in a similar number of headcount.
The other piece
To be
of
fair,
that
they
is,
have a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have 12.
and part of that is the more numbers you have, the more vacancies you have to fill, which
Right.
is often a challenge for a
More
lot of the
period.
boards that have,
Yeah.
even this
Right, to
board
have
in the
5,
past
6,
has
7
been
applicants might
a
not
challenge at
be
times to
realistic.
fill, so.
Totally.
And also, it doesn't say automatically.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
We need to, we just need to discuss.
Right.
And, if we see the excuse and understand the situation.
Yeah. Yeah, there's flexibility relevant to building practices.
Something about emergency in there with the, if it's not, like, what if my cows get out?
Fair.
Like, I can't get 24 hours notice on that.
Right?
And I don't know that we've ever held to even that 24-hour. I think
Right.
it's really
Any
been
type
like
of
if you
notice
give
is
us
good
a heads
enough.
up and we can share.
Yeah, I mean, if, like,
Yeah.
Melissa today is traveling, she told me earlier today that she's not gonna be here.
And that's excused.
And that's excused
Yeah,
because
exactly.
as long as you can give us notice and you're not just not showing up without any
Yeah.
reason, then that would be where we would mark it as an unexcused absence.
Some scholarly language, but yet not school.
Gotcha. We still would have to recommend, we would have to
Yeah.
recommend they be dismissed to city council.
Exactly.
And
Right.
city council would have to debate it.
Exactly.
So we're really gonna remove Alec for
Yeah.
getting his cows back.
Yeah.
I'll send pictures.
Video evidence. Okay, cool. And it's only 11 a year.
Yeah, because we
Right.
will decide today if you want to continue to.
Do the non-December one, gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, so we're good.
Anything else?
Next slide.
Next slide.
guess the only other question I have is about quorum. We've kind of gone back. I remember when we, at one point we were at 3 members of the board was being sufficient for a quorum. 4 is what we moved into a few years ago.
4 members.
We haven't failed to reach that at any point. Had to cancel anything in a while.
No.
Okay.
That's interesting. Yeah, I like this.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
As long as we continue to recruit people who are able to attend and can make it through Zoom.
Mhm.
Is everyone good with the way they're written then?
Alyssa had another comment about diverse representation. Do you want me to read
I
that?
can read that out.
Okay.
Also in these rules, we don't have language encouraging diverse representation, lived experience, or community-based knowledge, etc. This might be overkill, but I know we adjusted the board survey form to focus a little more on inclusion, and thought I would mention maybe something like, in carrying out its duties, the board shall consider environmental justice, social equity, affordability, and disproportionate impacts on historically underserved or overburdened communities. Though I know some of those terms may be high scrutiny by the current federal administration. Open to the board if they feel it is a value add and worth the potential risk.
Do we have like a description of the board beyond these rules and regulations?
The description of the board is what is in the Longmont City Code, so if that was something that we wanted to change, we would have to run it through our legal, and city council would have to adapt or vote to change that, but if you guys wanted to
If I want,
recommend a change to that, then we can start that process.
really.
But you could
So
put
that
something in
where I
the
can
rules
say
of
the
regs
thing.
just around,
Mhm.
I mean, some of the
Sorry,
language
sorry,
around,
okay.
these are the considerations as we're evaluating sustainability topics or something like that, but.
I'm not sure what section you would put that in, unless it was this
Duties and
one.
responsibilities.
As a rule and regulation, I respect those as values. I don't think that I see them as a rule. And even as you mentioned the city code, it's like a question. I feel like those values are represented in the city documentation too. So, yeah.
If there were another place to, like, can we just write that on the website?
I mean, when city council, or when they open it for recruitment, they are actively trying to get other groups and stuff to get all community members engaged. So they're doing what they can to try to reach out further to more people within the community, but
And we did just go through that survey that I think at least some of you, that was part of that purpose, is to understand what are the barriers for folks, so that we can, when we're doing engagement for recruiting vacancies, that we can be more proactive as a city in terms of getting broader representation. So it's okay if you all otherwise want to leave it as is.
The only thing that I am not overly excited about is that whole, like, where we can't gather.
Yeah, that's a
That's
state law.
That I know, that's state law.
Yeah.
Okay.
That an advisory
It's
board
for-
can't gather.
It's any essentially decision-making board. It's for
yeah.
transparency.
Yeah.
Public meetings.
Yeah. Yep.
Couldn't, like, video it ourselves?
No.
Hire.
I mean, you
Hire
can get
whoever
together, you just
need
have
be
to
hired to.
just have to notice it as a public
As a public meeting.
Okay, right, just go beyond
Yeah.
the scope of the X amount of us. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good thinking.
Yeah. Just so there's not backroom deals.
Right.
Yep.
And that can happen as long as there's a lot of other people.
As long as the public's in the back.
As long as the public is there.
It's all about the room.
Next section is election of officers. Ask for nominations for chair. Anyone nominate?
I'm gonna nominate Robert for chair. Having not asked Robert if he'd be interested in serving, I would nominate Robert for chair. Happy to accept.
Is there a
I second that nomination.
All those in favor? Oppositions? Alright, that motion carries. Robert, you're up.
Oh.
Welcome back.
Turn over the moderation to you.
That was your time off.
I assume the next item is going to be,
Vice chair?
yes, vice chair. Do we have any nominations for a vice chair?
Do we have a vice chair already?
That's me.
Is that you? Okay. Yeah.
I nominate David.
Yeah, I was gonna-
It's going this way.
I would accept that nomination. Yeah.
I'll happily second that. Any other nominations?
That just sounds conflictual.
Well, then all those ready to support that? Dave, Sure. Any opposed? All right, looks like that carries. Congratulations. I'll try to be absent a lot. So
Yeah,
you
okay.
can,
Only two
Okay.
Okay. No more than four.
Up next is the designation of the posting place. Please remind me of our current posting.
Yeah, so, the city clerk's office,
I'm curious too.
wants us to post it as our official posting place on the city website.
Mhm.
All of the boards and city council post on the website, in our agenda management portal. And then secondarily, we have done the, bulletin board here at the Civic Center, as a physical location for that posting, so you're welcome to continue with that if you would like, or change it from
This is posting the meeting
the agenda for the meetings.
agenda. for the-
Yep.
Anyone have any thoughts on that? If we don't want to change it, we don't have to take a vote or anything.
I want to make sure we're making it to the city's event calendar, because I went to check today and I don't think you guys are doing this on the calendar. Or I missed it, or I
It
missed it.
should be.
Yeah.
I will double check.
Yeah, because I was gonna check too that we were still getting all the information on how to engage with those listings, because I know we changed like calendar systems and
I
stuff.
think, right now I don't have that piece of it in there, just
Okay.
because we haven't decided what our meeting venue is for 2026.
Gotcha.
So I haven't published that piece of it yet, but the meeting should have been on there, and if it's not, I apologize, it is on the agenda management part of that. Our calendar thing on the website is now a little bit more difficult to publish events like that, so.
Yeah, those were the two the donations were on the calendar, and the public engagement piece is stuck.
Yep. I'll make sure of that.
Well, hearing nobody with a strong opinion about changing the designated posting place, we'll move on to talking about our 2026 meeting venues, the location, whether it's virtual or in person. Any thoughts on our current approach, if it is to change?
Seems pretty good. Doesn't seem like time or anything's on there, right? Just location.
You could change the time.
We
if
could
you
do,
wanna
we
change
could.
the
All the
time.
above.
That'd be my only thought with people who have been missing a little bit, still sort of in the work day. Is that tricky? Is there a morning time that would be more convenient across the board, or yeah, that'd be my only thought.
I think Alyssa had shared in her email that the current in-person per quarter and the other meetings virtual worked well for her with other responsibilities that she had, so I just wanted to share her feedback.
Some of those ones I do have to work early to get here, and I can't do that in that situation, but also just aware maybe members of the public that may discourage them from showing up, because our meetings start at 4:30 instead of after 5, after their commute to kids too that we need to get back to and forget that. So I think there's a lot of balance there.
Yeah. We certainly talked a lot over the years about the timing and the strategy. I like the balance we've struck personally. I think that having two out of every 3 meetings be remote, it makes it easy for people to participate in the way that works for them. I also think having the chance to be here in person helps us be more effective. I think we're able to, there's just a little bit more opportunity to connect with one another when we're able to meet in person than the virtual, trying to manage through the
Could we
challenges.
be here virtually if we weren't able to make it in person today? Is that like an option, you know what I mean?
In this venue, it's a little bit harder to do that.
In this venue, okay.
Yeah.
We've currently only allowed that for like our city council.
Yes.
Gotcha. Right.
And in pretty certain circumstances for sure. So
Yeah, if you were sick or something, then you might be able
Of
to do
course.
it that way, but just not on
right.
I've decided I wanted to do it virtually today, and we haven't really made.
Text Heather at 4:15.
Yeah.
Hey, log me in. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a different set of logistics, but it's manageable.
And this is the type of thing as well, if we decide we don't like it, right? We don't have Jeff or Alyssa here today. We do have the ability to change this.
At any moment.
Yes. So it's not, we can, if we like what we have, we can continue forward until it doesn't work. Ethan, you're quiet over there, right?
Yeah.
You have fine with the schedule.
Okay. Just want to make sure you didn't feel. All right. Well, in that case, we don't need to take a vote on that, which means our next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the last meeting. So,
Folks, don't remember back to November.
yes, November 19th, 2 months ago. Did anyone have any changes or corrections that need to be made?
Did I forget to put the notes in?
No, they were up
No,
top.
There's a back, I think.
It's in the package.
It's after the sunshine law. So.
Oh, I put it in the wrong order. Oh, it's because the
I just
order
assumed
of
it was the agenda.
Gotcha. That's why it's in the wrong order in my head, because usually it comes right after the agenda.
Any initial recommendations or corrections? Well, if no one has any, is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve the minutes.
Second. All those in favor? Okay. Up next is the agenda revisions. Are there any other agenda revisions we need to?
Nope.
factor in?
We're
Okay.
good.
All right. Then up next is our general business with our 2026 work plan.
Let's see if I can hide. Oh, this is, it's slow. It is slow. This is a little bit more. Actually, this if it cooperates, maybe it will hit. But it won't let me get to that box. There we go. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. This is. Anyway, okay. We're gonna call that good. Do you want to try to get it?
Yeah.
I was like, it's not good. Don't like it. Yeah, I thought that would just roll it up. I don't know why it wasn't.
Which is the space? Full screen? Full screen.
Full screen.
Back where you were on that drop down.
Down here?
Go to, no, up.
The ribbon settings. The ribbons carry.
This.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you all. Teamwork. Okay. It's like I'm gonna embarrass myself right now, so I'm not gonna know what you all are doing. Okay, So this is typical for those of you who have been on the board for a while and have seen this format. We've just pulled out sort of very high-level topic areas that we typically focus on within the Sustainability Advisory Board. These are focus areas from the Sustainability and Climate Action Plan and known priorities from City Council. I always have the general business section. Don't mind that, but a misnomer. It's not the same as general business in our agenda. It just means that we have standard business throughout the year that has to happen. For example, today we do our work plan, we go through our rules and regs, and we talk about meetings. Every February we do our annual progress report. We do application interviews if applicable. So if we have vacancies, I have those just slotted in these time frames here, etc. So that's the general business section. And then the topic areas, we have a section for City Council, and Councilmember Topoffer mentioned earlier there will probably be some things coming from the retreat that we can plug into this area if we know what the timing is. I can always just plot placeholders in so that we don't lose track of them. I move things throughout the year, as you all know. Climate resilience. Right now, our team has been focused on extreme heat quite a bit over the last couple of years. You mentioned the wildfire resilience piece as well. Energy is always a big focus area for this group, so I have placeholders in here for what I think is a pretty good cadence now with Platte River Power Authority coming twice a year to provide us updates on their progress, and the IRP, which is the Integrated Resource Planning process. So we have them down for tentatively June and November. I chatted with Susan earlier about that timing, and she said kind of based on where Platte River is at in their planning at the moment, that second half of the year is a good time frame because they're not going to have anything really new in the next couple months to share with us. Anyway, buildings and infrastructure. So this will probably be a bigger year for us in this. We're wrapping up the building codes that we've been talking to you all about for the last year or so. Those were supposed to go to council for first and second reading in February. That got pushed to March currently, so I just have a placeholder to make sure that I update you when that does go to council for those building energy codes that we reviewed in the third quarter of last year. I'll come back to this one to give you a little bit more detail, but we also have our greenhouse gas inventory that we should be finalizing for 2024. We do a greenhouse gas inventory every 3 years, and then we look at modeling forecasting. So this year we're using the indicators platform that we have showed you. If you all remember, there's a pretty comprehensive greenhouse gas modeling tool built within that platform. So we'll be inputting information from our inventory and modeling process. We'll have 2 scenarios that we'll be able to show you this year, which is partly why I wanted to have some time set aside to talk through it with you. We'll have our aspirational scenarios, so what are our goals and targets that we have set out, and then what are we on track for with regards to what we're seeing as far as participation in programs and what we're planning over the next few years. So we're trying to see if there's a delta between kind of what our aspirational goals are now that we have several years under our belt of doing a lot of this work. Are we actually on track to meeting those goals, or are we not? And if not, then it's a conversation for you all, for City Council to say, do we want to prioritize things differently? Do we want to look at resourcing? All of those things. So that will be an important conversation for us to have. I did incorporate some comments that you all had made last year through some different things that came up, particularly wanting to make sure that we're incorporating refrigerants and the impacts of refrigerants from heat pumps, and then also methane, making sure that we're talking about how methane is incorporated into our greenhouse gas inventory. And I wanted to have some time for Adam Sanderson from who's housed in Longmont Power and Communications and Susan's team, but is partially funded by Sustainability, who runs our whole home health program that we've talked to you all about. He's in the process of doing some data analysis for the last 2 years that we've had that program in place, and we're seeing some really exciting findings from that process, and we wanted him to have a chance to come and talk to you all about that. And then I have this placeholder. I know this concept has been discussed a bit. We had somebody last year come and talk to us about passive design codes and things like that, so I didn't want to lose sight of having a further conversation, but I also wanted us to get through this pretty big lift of building energy codes first. So coming back, I wanted to just flag that Corkett and Councilmember Popkin and I met over the holidays, and had a follow-up conversation to our meeting in November, in which you all brought up the desire to really dig deeper into this land use and zoning conversation, and really where are there opportunities and where are there gaps for what Envision Longmont, which is the city's comprehensive plan. What's identified in Envision? What are we advancing? Are there gaps that this group in particular wants to elevate to City Council as priorities in terms of their impact on sustainability and climate goals? What is this board well suited to really address? So Corkett is going to do some homework for us between now and the February meeting, and then we'll go through that there. So that's going to be a pretty big chunk of time along with our annual report. We have food systems, and I know this has been an interest of you all for a while. I apologize it's taken a while, but we wanted to get our new open space ag specialist in place. So she was just hired, I think, July of last year. I just had a meeting with her a few weeks ago. You all are very much on her radar, and so as she's actually had a moment to get her feet underneath her with that position. It's a new position. It's also only a half-time position, so she's really wanted to make sure that when she does come to this board, she has something of substance to talk to you all about. So she'll be providing an overview of the open space program and talking about kind of the vision that that group is going with regards to regenerative agriculture. So we have that conversation slated for April.
In regards to regenerative agriculture, or whatever, but is it going to be a high-level overview of agriculture in Boulder County and Longmont, which is not regenerative agriculture? What we need to talk about first is where we're at.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. So where we're at now, where we hope to go.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we'll probably touch a little bit for some of your expertise in that site. So.
Yeah. I'll be heated that day.
I'm sure.
That's when y'all.
I hope your cows
Like,
are.
oh, geez.
I hope your cows are all in that day.
Yeah. You guys let the cows out that day. I'll know why.
If your cows are out, we'll reschedule. Don't worry.
Yeah. Right.
Bring cows.
Natural environment is also always a focus. I don't have anything big planned for this year as yet, but as things come up, we will definitely stick this in. Similarly to transportation, I also will look to you, Alex, as that being a topic area that I know is important to you. If you see opportunities, please bring them to this board in the transportation area. We did the big update last year to our transportation mobility plan, so I think that and some staff transition over in that team, I think they might be taking a bit of a breath, but we'll bring anything to you as it arises. Same with water conservation. We updated our water efficiency plan next year, so we are just rolling with those recommendations. And then another big topic that will come to you at some point in time is last year City Council did direct us to pursue a construction and demolition ordinance. So my team is running with that, and so we'll be bringing you some updates throughout the year as that gets developed and we go through the stakeholder engagement process, and then bring those updates to City Council for feedback and direction. And then the last piece, of course, is usually, which we didn't talk about, I guess we can discuss if you all want to continue to cancel the December meeting. As I've mentioned to you all before, it's the third Wednesday of December this year. It's on the 16th, so further away from the holidays, but in my experience, people do not come. So you all are welcome to revisit that. We can also revisit that later. You don't have to make that decision tonight, but I did not put on anything on the tentative agenda. Yes?
The water conservation thing, is there, it would be good, it would be helpful for me, I'll just speak for myself, to understand more about the dynamics of water, like, and not just, I guess, municipal water, but beyond that, before or accompanied with the ag program.
Okay.
Do you know there's a water board?
No. Okay.
Yeah, they talk exclusively about water over there.
Okay.
I think Diane
Well, we just
printed on that
last
one.
year,
The law.
Hope?
Or is it Hope?
She's our water conservation
She
specialist.
talks about the water efficiency master.
Yeah, that's what, that might maybe revisit the master plan.
I could just have Hope come and do a general, update on what she's got planned for this year, where we're at in implementation of the water efficiency plan. If you all want me to just schedule a time for her to come and just make sure she's keeping you all abreast. Water Board has a very specific mandate about water quantity in particular, not water quality as much, but they have their very specific mandate, but that doesn't mean that it is an important an important part of sustainability. So, especially because we don't really have anything else that's now, it's a water update, and if you all have questions that emerge from that, talk about that. Okay.
What about composting? Now that Distiltol is off the table for a composting facility?
I can add that to this one. I have not heard anything where things are at in terms of this. As far as I know, that's in the county's court because they're the ones that are pursuing that composting facility. So last I heard, they were doing some site feasibility assessments. I haven't heard where it's at. No. But, I know that's still of interest to folks.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to have a meeting where we're talking a little bit, like where you're kind of the numbers of where our waste diversion, like
Yeah.
we've done that before. I think.
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
We can
Yeah.
get an update on where we are. And
Yeah, that will be part of, you'll definitely see the numbers at least as part of our year-end annual report. Given that we have a pretty probably substantive agenda for February, you all at that time can decide if you want to dig deeper into the waste diversion numbers based on that.
And then as these topics come up in council, I'll also fill everybody in as well. So if composting does resurface, I'll be sure to let everybody know.
Great, thank you.
I think it would be really helpful about that too, maybe where we've missed some opportunities in the past, is getting more notice or even just like the explicit ask from city council, like what's the decision that's coming up this year that council needs advising on. So I think the good example last year was like the fueling stations advisory that we were able to put together. But I'm not sure that we've gotten the clear ask from city council, hey, we need advice on X thing, or we're going to make a decision in the next 3 months, so you should explore this, especially to make sure, I think, we find out about those things in hindsight, and then there's this, well, we'd like to advise on that, well, we already made the decision, so if we can avoid that, going forward that.
It's interesting that you brought that up because we did talk about that to bring you all in the fold sooner and have you all maybe work on a project to kind of guide us. So more to come after the council retreat when we have more direction.
You're busy, I mean.
Just a little bit.
I was going to suggest too for the December meeting is maybe we do bring it back online, but like just do it to the first or second week of December. Or just have a party. Decorate
Cookie or something.
It just seems like we have very packed annual schedules, and so maybe that 12th meeting would be useful.
Forgot to
Motion?
mention that I used to chair the transportation board, and one of the meetings we would do like a study session. We'd come into this room, so we'd be in the chambers, but we do a study session on like one particular thing, and I found that in transportation very valuable to have like a study session on a topic, but your board rules.
You saying like in between your regular business meetings?
We
Or
would take
outside.
one meeting and we'd create a study session. So like one meeting, instead of having a normal meeting flow, we were talking about strokes, street roads combinations, and the staff had examples and educated us and made sure we're all on the same page, just so when that came up later, we were all on the same page.
How do folks feel about the December? I can pull up. or
Let's
we
bring it
can
in.
Do the math, whatever. 9th of December.
I like to party on
I mean, we could do both.
What is our budget again?
Yeah, right.
What's our in there?
$0.
How much?
Oh.
I can, I'm sure I can, finagle some cookies or something of some kind, but yes.
But I was thinking of a bake sale to city staff. Fun.
I do think we would be more likely to meet the quorum requirements if it is not the third meeting status.
Do you need a motion?
You would need to, yes, make a
Move to
motion
meet on
change
the second week of December?
That would be December 9th.
December 9th. Move to meet on December 9th, 2026.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any strong discussion points we haven't covered before we take the vote?
No.
Then all those in favor of adding that meeting?
And do you want that to be an in-person meeting? Because typically that will be a virtual meeting. Which means it's hard to eat cookies virtually, but
Jefferson was the
your own.
one. Insane.
I mean, if it's gonna be a workshop and hardly, in person is a better idea.
Yeah, I like the idea of doing that in person.
Is it our fourth in person, or and we usually skip it? Right, because we're quarterly in person. We're 1 on, 2 off, 1
Yeah,
on.
so October would be the in-person,
October,
and then it would
sorry.
be.
Gotcha.
mhm.
Yeah, let's do it in person.
All right. I'm going to change the
But then wouldn't your January meeting also be in person?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Less time on. Yeah. Wait.
We can always see that now, and if
We can-
November comes and you guys decide that was a good idea, you can change it. So nothing is set in stone.
Starting to relish those things again.
All right, I will change the colors later. I don't want to go back and forth on that troubles later. So,
School bus folks.
is there anything? I didn't mention earlier. I did slot in just to do a review of the work plan. I can never remember if work plan is one word or two words. So it's one. In June, we haven't really done that consistently unless we've had new members, but I thought that would probably be a good idea to just revisit where we're at, and then that way, especially if you all have a big topic, that I don't lose sight of it. And then we do our mid-year progress report, and then I always ask you all for this keeps changing this timing every year, so but the sustainability tax from the county always requires a letter of support from you all. So
Does it make sense to do that review of the work plan in July? If there are new board members, they get seated.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
July their first meeting?
Yes.
And that way they kind of have an idea of
yeah,
where we're
that makes
going.
sense. It's funny, I had it July, and I assumed I had a reason that I had it there, and then decided that didn't make sense. So
How many seats are open this year?
Let me look.
I think it's just one.
I think it's one.
Just mine.
Based on what?
It's a
I was appointed
3-year
for a 2-year term instead of a
Okay.
3-year term.
Yeah,
I think
the-
I was filling.
The way our cycle is, there's like 3 1 year, 3 the next year, and 1 the following year. It's strangely balanced.
Gotcha.
So 3 2 2. I think that would make more sense.
all right. Any other discussion? Again, it's not set in stone, so as things come up, I want to make sure to not overly pack things because we will have things come up through the year, especially, again, after the council retreat. There'll be some other things to talk about. But I definitely want to make sure that if we're missing something big that we have talked about or that you all have on your minds, that it gets captured.
I would encourage us to get more in discussion on the resilience topic. I think the science is telling us we're passing points of no return pretty quickly, and so I think to your notes, Alex, about disasters, I think that's a big part of the conversation. Is how do we make sure we're prepared in addressing the disasters we can expect from more severe thunderstorms, fire, drought, those factors. But I think I'm interested in maybe the bigger picture too of how the city will address issues of food, food systems, access to food, general access to resources in an economic downturn related to climate emergencies. If the state of Colorado isn't getting its FEMA money, what kind of shortfalls in government funding might do to us. I think it's turning into a much bigger picture of crisis that I would be curious in addressing, making sure that the city is well prepared for a diverse range of outcomes.
That's a great reminder. I didn't put it on here yet because I am waiting to hear back, but if you'll recall, last year we became the first city in the U.S. to be part of the UN's Making Cities Resilient program as a resilience hub. And then in November, we went through a 2-day training where we had some folks from the UN help lead us through that resilience scorecard process. I think I gave you guys a little bit of information about that. We're waiting for the report from that process, and that will hopefully give us a baseline of, and it cuts across quite a few sectors as far as resilience goes, of how well we're doing, where are there opportunities for us to grow, and then hopefully for us to then prioritize how do we move forward with those things. So I'll put it on to make sure that when I have that, I'll bring it to you all for discussion. Yeah.
Is that affected by the U.S. pulling out of most of the United Nations?
No. That is not.
Maybe that's something that we pull back to bring back to council, because I feel like that kind of ties into.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'll touch base with you when I get that report, and then
Yeah.
maybe you and I can
Perfect.
strategize on that.
Great.
All right.
I guess one other thing, so in November, it seemed like there was a pretty big galvanizing amongst the board about the land use
Yep.
stuff, and I know we've got that in February.
Yeah.
I just wanted to confirm that that was satisfying the trajectory that people were hoping for.
Envision Longmont is something else that we will be talking about, so.
Yeah. Great. And what I'm hoping comes out of our conversation next month with Corkit is to have a couple of priorities that you all, I mean, I'll need to do some homework. I'll work with Alex on kind of vetting some things, and then for you all to dig into more, especially if we do know if Envision is going to be updated, making sure that we are ahead of the game a bit in being prepared for what makes sense to incorporate into that process. You all obviously will be stakeholders along with all of our boards and commissions in terms of feedback as Envision gets updated, depending on the scope of that. So a few unknowns with that, but yes, thank you for bringing back to that.
Sorry, so there is a plan to move forward with a major update to
That is
Envision Longmont?
going to be, it sounds like a topic of conversation for council
Yeah,
at the
coming
retreat.
up, so that
Is
is.
it that 10-year marker?
Yeah, it is 10-year, it was done in 2016, so we're at the 10-year mark. And the council retreat, it's not till March, but just so you all know, I think it's the 27th and 28th. And that is, for Colorado law, open to the public. So if you all,
So Friday and Saturday.
yeah.
The retreat.
The retreat.
Where is it?
Location is going to be determined on Tuesday, but there's a new property behind Walgreens on 17th and Hover. There's consideration of it being there.
That'll all be posted.
Yes.
All right, if that's it on that, I will pass it back to you, Robert.
I don't believe we have any members of the public hanging in the hallway or anything, so we'll bypass the public event to be heard. Okay. No other business, no other items for staff.
No, I think I shared with you all of the items, so.
Okay. So up next is items from the board. So,
Well,
go.
since we are early, I can do a kind of like a 3 minutes summary, even though I'm going to go into more to Envision Longmont. But I'll give you a couple of headlines so that you can start thinking about it. Even though it's old, Envision Longmont has the promote sustainable mix of land uses. That's a really broad subject, integration of the uses, and it doesn't go into detail of it, but there is also in our sustainability plan enhancing the social cohesion, social support system. Now, these may sound like independent from each other, but they are very strongly correlated, especially on the way we address our land use regulations. One thing I usually put out there is 100 years ago, a lot of professionals were able to perform from home at least a few hours of the week. A doctor would see a patient at home, and other professions as well. And we kind of made that illegal now because it's it's a non-residential use. However, that depending on your neighbor in certain services created the kind of support system that is missing right now in many of our neighborhoods, especially single-use neighborhoods. When I talk like this, somebody says, "Oh, I hate my neighbor." Well, maybe, considering disasters, you're not going to have the luxury of hating your neighbor because your life may depend on them. And we had that consciousness 100 years ago. A lot of the way we organized had that way of depending on your neighbor and creating a support system. Research after research shows that when the disaster hits, the toughest, highest mortality in the heat waves, for instance, are in the single-use neighborhoods, isolated places where you don't know your neighbor. So it sounds like an individual decision, but actually it's a land use decision, and us as planners have the responsibility to enable that. So that's one of the things, it's not as visible as energy policy or water policy, but it's nevertheless very important for the way we structure our neighborhoods. Within that context, the idea of diversifying the services in any neighborhood, kind of creating self-sufficient neighborhoods, which is the underlying principle of the 15-minute city movement, is very important. And in that sense, we need to look at our code again. And, just a few years ago, if I said, every single family lot needs to have an ADU, people would be like, "Are you crazy?" Now, we passed that legislation last year. So, some changes may sound ominous, but actually it's easy to do that. So, if you define the impact of certain uses and make the sites really small, there's no problem of allowing them in residential neighborhoods. In some codes we wrote, we call them cottage retail, cottage industry, and cottage farming. And again, you control the impact, you control the size, and allow them in neighborhoods. That's the first step to go forward and diversify your neighborhood. Because, even in a suburbia, now that we experienced the COVID working from home, maybe there's a way to encourage the small businesses to start flourishing. Any given subdivision, let's say 1,000 people population, there's a diverse set of expertise, but they don't perform in place. They go other places, go to workplaces, etc., so forth. And there's a way to maybe for us to, through the land use regulation, break that and then recreate that diversity in place in neighborhoods, so that any given neighborhood has that kind of diversity. I give this example a lot. During the COVID, my neighbor, kindergarten neighbor, was a dentist performing from house. It's kind of like a remnant of a land use that is allowed, and that kind of thing is not allowed in a lot of neighborhoods, but that was an amenity. That was, thank God, he knew me and I could go and see because I needed dental work. So even that's something that simple makes us more reasonable. That's, when you say resilience is a topic, these issues are under that topic as well. So that's, I'm going to go into more detail and we can discuss all together what to underline and what to advise. But, I'm going to try to provide a list of rules within the code that can be easily changed and that make it. That's the synopsis.
Well, I, for one, am grateful for your homework on that and your just thoughtful approach to it. Thank you. Any other items from the board?
I was looking at an update, so the Front Range Sustainability Council, they put together a steering committee, which is beginning to wrap up their work, and they're going to be launching essentially a new set of bylaws, a new website, a new way to gather, soliciting new members. I am in the steering committee chat. I'm not part of the steering committee because they've got it well in hand and they're doing a great job. So don't fix what ain't broken. But I'm keeping an eye on things, and so I'll bring back more info as they complete their work. They are going to be holding an all council meeting within the next couple of months to essentially present the bylaws, get approval. There's no formal governance now, so we'll just go forward once the bylaws sound good to everyone. And yeah, I'll continue to stay on the council and see where it goes.
Can you give a quick summary of what that group is?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, so essentially a group of staff and similar advisory capacity community members throughout our region put together this until now pretty unofficial collaboration to talk about topics of environment, sustainability. I think Longmont, of all the members, is probably Longmont and Boulder are further ahead than most of the members in the group. Louisville, Lafayette are in it, Arvada in it. They have a robust presence, but all in varying stages of where they are with their sustainability missions as a city. And so the idea is bringing all those people together to benefit from cities like Longmont that are really paving the way. But I also think with the new steering committee, really resetting the goals so that this region can advocate and seek legislation together and as a group to say, yeah, these 6 cities councils need to get together and push for this legislation. Or one of the big issues that have come up is the rail system, is that's a regional issue that keeps slipping through the cracks. Maybe the council is something that pulls together advocacy on that topic or any number of topics, housing is a big one too.
So coalition.
And that's the thing. It's a council coalition. It's gone through these phases and trying to figure out what it wants to be. It's been a solid learning space and a connecting space, particularly for the advisory boards who don't have designated staff on sustainability issues to connect with staff in other cities to know what their priority should be, what they should be working on. Nice. And they do quarterly meetings. They do quarterly meetups where anyone's welcome to come in. We hosted them at the golf course last year. The last one was in Arvada at the new pool there. What's the name? The Front Range Sustainability Council. I think it's the locked-in name. There's a logo now too, so that would be good.
Thank you. Any other items from the board? Okay.
At the end of last year, the DOE, Department of Energy, decided to order Craig Station to stay open or to stay available for operation. So that's like a 3-month emergency order that can be extended indefinitely, and PRPA is a part owner of Craig. That's been widely reported, so you probably already all have heard about that. But also less widely reported is that on January 9th, EPA Region 8 decided to reject Colorado's proposed updates to the state implementation plan for the regional haze. And so that's a pretty big deal. And so part of that is that the coal plants that would have been included in that for enforceable shutdowns probably won't be, because there'll be Colorado's 2 years to submit a new proposed update. And if Colorado doesn't, then the Fed will just order something. So that could be relevant to Rawhide Energy Station with the planned shutdown of Rawhide Unit 1 by 2030.
Is it your impression that PRPA is sufficiently alert to those evolutions?
Well, I don't think so, in my opinion. Because if they were, then they wouldn't have ran through a integrated resource plan in 2024 that didn't account for the possibility of wholesale change in federal policy. But they did talk about it at length, particularly Craig Station at their last PRPA board meeting, which I watched the live stream of, and they had a pretty good in-depth discussion of it. So at least for Craig, I think they're attuned to what's going on.
Appreciate it. Any other items from the board?
I had a sarcastic. I'm trying to not do it.
Okay. Well, up next would be items from council. So Alex, I know you talked earlier, but I don't know if you had anything else you need to bring forward.
Just appreciation. I know y'all are doing this for free and out of the goodness of your heart, and I know it takes a lot of work also for staff to do this as well. So I appreciate you all being here and doing your homework and bringing updates and being experts at bringing your knowledge to make the city better. So I appreciate you all being here and participating, and I hope that we can have like a good example, because this is a great board to show the community that their voices matter, because your voice does matter. And I'm excited to be here and just learning from a fire hose. So hopefully I can be more productive in our following meetings, but really appreciate you all being here and looking forward to working with you all.
All right. Well, it takes us near the end of the meeting. There are a couple of informational items in the packet. We don't need to take any action on those, but make sure you keep up with those and read them. Our next meeting date is going to be February the 18th. It will be remote, so we see all of you on Zoom then. And that takes us to adjourning. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second. Okay. All those in favor? All right. Okay. Well, thanks everyone. See you tomorrow.